Welcome to the 63rd edition of Aviation Week's Laureate Awards. I'm Joe Anselmo, Editorial Director of the Aviation Week Network and Editor-in-Chief of Aviation Week and Space Technology magazine. Since 1957, our editors have annually recognized outstanding accomplishments in aviation, space, and defense. This year's awards were supposed to be presented at a March 12th gala at the National Building Museum in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, that was the week that COVID-19 hit the U.S. with a vengeance, closing offices everywhere and bringing air travel to a virtual halt. We had hoped things would calm down enough to present the awards in person this month, but at the urging of many of our award recipients, guests, and sponsors, we've decided that a virtual program was the most prudent approach. We'll see you again in person in 2021. This year, we had more than 24 laureate winners from North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Their accomplishments span a wide gamut: technology, exploration, science, safety, and innovation. Today, we have a two-part program. First, we will reveal a Grand Laureate winner for each of 4 categories: business aviation, commercial aviation, defense, and space. We'll also have a video tribute to the winner of this year's Lifetime Achievement Award. Then, in part 2 of our program, Aviation Week President Greg Hamilton will recognize 24 top students pursuing aviation, aerospace, and military careers. He will have a fireside chat with a representative of this year's 2020s, followed by a chat with 3 of our outstanding military cadets. So let's get started. Here, with the winner of our Grand Laureate in Business Aviation, is Business and Commercial Aviation Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Bill Garvey.
Thank you, Joe. This year, business aviation has witnessed an extraordinary infusion of advances across the spectrum, as evidenced by laureates ranging from the most technologically advanced jets ever to an all-new service dedicated to maintaining and training maintainers of unmanned aerial systems. But it was an unprecedented integration of technologies called Autoland by Garmin International that earned it unanimity among editors as this year's Business Aviation Grand Laureate. Here to accept the award is Phil Straub, Garmin's Executive Vice President and Head of Aviation. Good day, Phil. Congratulations to you and your Garmin team. Now, can you describe Autoland and its function?
Absolutely, Bill, and thank you. We're honored to be here receiving this award. It's truly an honor for Garmin. Autoland is the latest in the suite of safety technologies from Garmin that will autonomously fly the airplane, navigate, and communicate with the pilot not functioning at the controls to a safe landing and outcome. The airplane will fly itself, it will navigate around weather and terrain, and it will communicate to air traffic control the intentions of what the aircraft is doing. And furthermore, when the aircraft lands and comes to a full stop on the runway, braking to a full stop, it'll actually shut down the engine so the occupants can safely exit the aircraft. It's truly the latest of the leading edge of autonomous technologies that we have. And I really want to briefly recognize my Garmin colleagues. There's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. I think that same type of notion applies to the hundreds of engineers that contributed to Autoland. I want to give a call out to our OEM partners, because without them, our technology would never take flight or make a difference. They knew this would be a long journey, and they were with us all the way. And I also want to recognize the regulators, the FAA and EASA. They knew this would be hard as well. There are no regulations dealing with this new autonomous technology. They knew it would be hard, they partnered with us, and we got there. And in summary, I don't know when Autoland will be called upon to perform in some future dire situation. It certainly will not be a routine occurrence. But I do know that it is not if, that it is when. And when that does occur, then and only then will come that sense of fulfillment that drove our teams to pursue this technology. So on behalf of all those that contributed, thank you again for this recognition of Autoland.
And thank you, Phil, and thank your team for making aviation even safer through Autoland. And congratulations to the other business aviation laureates. For platforms, there's Gulfstream Aerospace's G500 and G600. Propulsion, Pratt & Whitney for its PT6E turboprop series. For operations, there's Riga Swiss Air Rescue. MRO, that's Robotic Skies. And technology and innovation is Wing Aviation. Congratulations to you all. Thank you, and back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Bill, and congratulations to Garmin and all of the Business Aviation Laureate winners. Now to reveal the winner of our Grand Laureate in commercial aviation, please welcome Aviation Week Executive Editor Jens Flotow.
Thanks, Joe, and I'm happy to welcome with me, virtually at least, Christian Scherer, Airbus Chief Commercial Officer. Christian is here to accept the Grand Laureate in commercial aviation, officially for the A321LR, the first long-range version of the A321neo, but really also for the A321XLR, which has been extremely popular with customers since its launch. So congratulations, Airbus, for this big award. Christian, I'm told you were kind of the mastermind behind the launch of the XLR. So tell us a bit about your role and the success of the aircraft.
Jens, you're giving me too much credit. This is the whole company standing behind it. And yeah, as the commercial director, perhaps I had the opportunity to stand a little bit in the spotlight here, but it's really across Airbus that credit is due. A lot of work has gone into it, and I just happened to be there at the right moment to push it through. So on behalf, Jens, of everyone at Airbus, I do want to express our sincere thanks and pride, I must admit, in receiving this prestigious award from your notorious publication. Thank you very, very much. We accept it with pride. The XLR, as you say, the A321 XLR is the latest addition to our very successful A320 family of aircraft. It sits there at the top end and is adding a significant capability of range combined with the newest cabin innovations, the airspace cabin with its bins and its mood lighting and all sorts of features that one would normally see on wide-body aircraft to the single-aisle family. And that's really the trick behind it, because what we're doing is we're bringing single-aisle, meaning small aircraft economics, to long-range travel, which is offering a much, much improved risk-reward proposition to our customers. Talking about customers, I'm really glad that Aviation Week is now joining the ranks of the many who have voted very strongly in favor of the A321. As you know, we officialized its launch at the Paris Air Show last year in 2019. But really what we did is secure the airplane's acceptance prior to its officialization with every business segment that we serve, meaning the established carriers, full service carriers, the low-cost carriers, the smaller international carriers, the leasing companies, and we did so in every region of the world. And once we saw that we had this overwhelming endorsement, we announced the formal launch of this airplane at the Paris Air Show in 2019. And this is what I'd like to express as a source of pride, other than the engineering feat, which is the center rear tank that gives this airplane the significant range. It is really its acceptance across all business segments that we serve, and in all regions for this new model. The other thing that I would like to point out here is the sort of medium market segment with its bigger sister ship, the A330neo. And airlines now have a choice between a wide-body airplane with unequal seat costs or a narrow-body airplane that has these trip costs that are 40% less than a typical new generation wide-body aircraft. And therefore, the airline can actually dial in the capacity at once. And because of the commonality between the A321 and the A330, it can do so without too many unnecessary investments. So that's really what I'd like to say about the XLR. We have 450 orders for this airplane in record time with well over 20 very, very solid, prestigious customers. I hate to mention them because I always then frustrate the ones I don't mention, but certainly American Airlines, United Airlines come to mind. But on the low-cost side, we were gratified by the vote of confidence of Cebu in Asia, of Wizz Air here in Europe, and the reference lessors, ALC, GCAS, endorsing the product as well. So a success story. Thank you very much for the award. We proudly receive it, and thank you again, and thank our customers.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. I have one last question. Obviously, everyone is affected by the pandemic right now. Their sales are hard to get, production is down. But if you look ahead, do you see growing opportunities for small, long-range aircraft like the XLR, particularly as the industry eventually emerges from this crisis?
Jens, yes, I think so. It's first of all, this crisis that we're going through is teaching us that we don't know what we don't know. So we have to stay very, very humble. But I think you're quite right. In the severe headwind that our industry is facing, being able to flying longer ranges with a smaller airplane, as I mentioned, 40% lower trip costs than a smaller wide body like a 787-8, for example. Well, it offers the airlines a much lower risk proposition, and therefore I would guess, and that's what the market is telling us, that to some extent, the XLR almost benefits, I hate to use that term, from the crisis because it offers this lower risk solution to a number of airlines to fly long distances. If you think about it, Miami to London, or New York to Rome, or Kuala Lumpur to Sydney, those are long range distances that can now be flown by this smaller module, which, by the way, has, as I mentioned before, the characteristics in the cabin to offer all the luxury and the comfort to the passengers that a wide-body aircraft does. So, in a nutshell, I do believe, yes, this COVID crisis is benefiting the XLR to some extent, and that is one of the reasons why we are protecting its development, despite all the economic pressure that our industry is suffering right now. We are protecting its development and look forward to its entry into service in 2023.
Yeah, thank you, Christian, and again, congratulations, Airbus, for this award. I now would also like to congratulate the winners in the various commercial aviation categories that we've announced earlier this year. For leadership, David Neeleman. Airline strategy, Adel Ali, the CEO of Air Arabia. Air traffic management, Ariane. Propulsion, Rolls-Royce. Sustainability, Boeing Eco Demonstrator, and for MRO, Donegal. Thank you again, and back to Joe.
Thanks, Jens, and congratulations to Airbus and to all the commercial aviation winners. Obviously, the last 7 months have been a brutal time for the commercial aviation industry. So it's nice to take a pause and recognize that this industry is still doing great things and does indeed have a bright future over the long term. Let's move on to defense and executive editor Jen Damasio, who is here with the winner of our Grand Laureate for Defense.
Thank you very much, Joe. I'm here to congratulate the winner of the Defense Grand Laureate, Embraer Defense. And with me is Jackson Schneider, the CEO of Embraer Defense, winning for the C-390, the aircraft called the Millennium, which was delivered to the Brazilian Air Force for the first time in 2019. Mr. Schneider, since the aircraft's delivery, why don't you please catch us up with all that the airlifter has achieved?
Thank you, Jennifer. First of all, I'd like, on behalf of all my colleagues at Embraer, to thank Aviation Week for being recognized with the Laureate Awards for the C-390 Millennium. This aircraft was developed in partnership with the Brazilian Air Force in a project executed with excellence by Embraer. This is another demonstration of our highly skilled engineering. In more than 50 years of history, Embraer has become a reference in the development, production, and certification of aircraft that have been commercial success worldwide, and this award here today is yet another proof of the capacity of our workforce. The Millennium is the new generation multi-mission transport aircraft that brings unrivaled mobility, quick reconfiguration, high availability, and improved flight safety, all in a single unique platform. It's an aircraft that is setting new standards in terms of productivity and low life cycle costs, with the ability to perform military and humanitarian missions, such as medical evacuation, search and rescue, aerial firefighting, cargo and troop transport, aerial delivery, and aerial refueling. Again, in a simple, single platform. The Brazilian Air Force is the launch customer of the aircraft, with 28 firm orders, and Portugal will become its first NATO producer. The first aircraft was delivered at the end of 2019, with 2 more deliveries in the following months. Since they are entering into service, these aircraft have demonstrated excellent dispatchability and productivity rates. Recently, Jennifer, it completed a successful humanitarian mission to Lebanon, providing relief supplies to the people of Beirut, transporting tons of medical supplies for over 7,200 miles. It's been also playing a critical role to fight and to prevent COVID-19 in Brazil. It's been able to transport ambulances, cell health units, oxygen plants, as well as other logistical and essential hospital supplies. Once more, I'd like to thank the Aviation Week team for this award that recognizes the excellence of Embraer's team. We are very proud and very happy to celebrate here today with you this achievement. Thank you.
And thank you for that kind acceptance speech. I wanted to also congratulate our other Defense Laureate winners. That includes for platforms, the Bell V-280 Valor, for manufacturing, Northrop Grumman's F-35 Center Fuselage Production, for MRO, BAE Systems Typhoon Total Availability Enterprise, for propulsion, the Air Force Research Labs Medium-Scale Critical Components Scramjet Program, for technology and innovation, Kratos's XQ-58 Valkyrie, and finally, the Weapons Award, which goes to the Missile Defense Agency and Boeing for the Ground-Based Mid-Course Defense FTG-11 flight test. Congratulations to all our winners. It was a wonderful field of competitors.
Thank you, Jen, and congratulations to Embraer and to all of our defense winners. It's time now for our 4th and final Grand Laureate, which is in the category of space. Joining us from Cape Canaveral is Aviation Week space editor Irene Klotz.
Hello. Welcome to the Space Laureate section of our program. I'm here with Martin Sweeting, the founder and executive chairman of the Remove Debris mission, a demonstration of technologies that could be key to keeping orbits around Earth available for science, commerce, and national defense as the number of satellites in space literally skyrockets. The mission, funded by the European Commission, was deployed from the International Space Station to demonstrate systems that can capture and remove debris. The tests included vision-based navigation, capture by net and harpoon, and deorbiting via drag sail. Sir Martin, what was the most challenging part of the mission, and do you have any plans for any follow-ups?
Goodness, that's a broad question, because in a mission like that, there were challenges right from the beginning to persuade people that this was, first of all, a sensible thing to do, because space operations of this nature are perhaps a dual-use capability. And then, of course, there are all the technical challenges and bringing all the various partners that we had together to make sure that the mission was delivered on time. And of course, there were quite a few, pretty difficult technical challenges to meet in terms of making sure that we demonstrated the two capabilities of the net and the harpoon without generating additional space debris. So it was really quite a challenge from a programmatic point of view as well as a technical point of view.
And do you have any plans for any follow-up missions?
Well, this was really the first of a kind to demonstrate the feasibility of doing this type of operation, and it was really to sort of pave the way for the eventual commercial missions that will help keep our space skies clean, because with all the plethora of satellites that are being launched, both in the mega constellations and many of the very smaller satellites from individual organizations, cleaning up space is going to be a commercial opportunity, and this was really to try to pave the way for that.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations. We also would like to congratulate our other winners of the Space Laureate Awards. For Space Launch Services, the laureate goes to Space Flight Services. For Space Science, China's Chang'e 4 Farside Moon Landing. For Platforms, the Mars Cube 1 mission. For Operations, Hawkeye 360. For propulsion, reaction engines, and for supplier innovation, the laureate goes to OneWeb Satellites. Thank you.
And thank you, Irene. Space is such an exciting field, and in the last few years, it's just gotten so much more exciting with everything going on that you're reporting on basically every day. And now to introduce the video of our Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Please welcome Aviation Week's Senior Propulsion Editor, Guy Norris.
This year's Lifetime Achievement Award winner dreamt of a career in automobile engineering, but instead helped change the future of aerospace propulsion. Please roll the video.
The aviation world can thank a downturn in the U.S. automobile industry for the 40-year aerospace career of Bob Ledoux, who recently retired as president of Pratt & Whitney after leading the company's return to the big time of commercial aviation with the geared turbofan. Known throughout the industry as a straight-talking, straight-shooting engineer with a determination to get the job done, Ledoux fell into aviation almost by accident. Graduating with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Southeastern Massachusetts University, Ledoux's heart was set on a career in the car industry, his first passion. But it was 1978, and Detroit wasn't hiring. Aircraft engine maker Pratt & Whitney was hiring, and that summer, Ledoux started in advanced programs, working on NASA's Energy Efficient Engine Initiative. This led to the Advanced Turboprop Geared Prop Fan, and later, the Advanced Ducted Propulsor, or ADP. Little did Pratt know at the time that this technology would spawn the Geared Turbofan, or GTF, propelling it back into the game after losing much of the aircraft engine business to General Electric in the 1980s. In the early 1990s, as Pratt fought through one of the biggest downturns in its history, Ledoux had what he describes as a seminal moment. Tasked with the unenviable job of steering the company through tough times, he was named Senior Vice President, Engine Programs and Customer Support. In recognition of his leadership skills, he rose through a succession of jobs at Pratt Parent Company UTC, President of Pratt & Whitney Large Commercial Engines and its Chief Operating Officer, President of Hamilton Sunstrand Flight Systems and Classified Programs, and President of Boeing Programs and Space at UTC Aerospace Systems. Managing the complex merger with Goodrich in 2012, Ledoux also oversaw the execution of the company's huge work package on the Boeing 787. It meant 80-hour work weeks for almost 7 years, until Ledoux retired, for the first time, in 2013. In 2015, Ledoux was surprised to get a call from UTC Chairman Greg Hayes, who recruited him to get helicopter maker Sikorsky into shape prior to its sale to Lockheed Martin. With that done, he retired again in 2016, but that didn't last for long either. Hayes called him again. "Pratt is an unmitigated mess," he told Ledoux, "and you're the only one who can fix it." Ledoux took the helm to lead the company through the buildup of the critically important F-135 military engine, as well as teething problems with the commercial introduction of the PW1000 GTF family, an engine whose step changes in fuel burn and noise triggered a wholesale shakeup throughout the civil aviation world. Ledoux's shakeup reinstituted integrated product development, improved communications with the supply chain, and reset expectations by rebalancing the program plan and schedule. He also increased staffing by more than 20%. "I was a glutton for punishment," jokes Ledoux, who retired for a third, and he claims last time, at the end of 2019. For his outstanding contributions to propulsion and the future of aerospace, Aviation Week editors honor Bob Ledoux with the 2020 Philip J. Klass Lifetime Achievement Award. What a career. And on behalf of Aviation Week's editors, let me again extend our congratulations to Bob Ledoux. You should have been up on stage getting this award, but that's the times we're in today. But clearly the automotive industry's loss was our gain in aerospace and aviation. Now on to part 2 of our program, where we turn an eye to the future. Each year, Aviation Week and the American Institute of Astronautics and Aeronautics select 2020s, 20 top students pursuing careers in aerospace that have been judged and selected through a rigorous screening process. We also recognize a top cadet from each of the 4 U.S. military service academies. Joining us with a representative of this year's 2020s and 3 top cadets from the U.S. military academies is Aviation Week Network President Greg Hamilton.
Thank you, Joe. Great program so far. I am always amazed and humbled by the intelligence, innovation, and achievements of our annual laureates. They are literally changing the world for the better. It's so impressive that one must wonder, how in the world can we possibly sustain the level of extraordinary capability into the future? After all, aren't we concerned about the readiness of our educational institutions to deliver the right talent and the competition from the tech sector for engineers, data scientists, and business managers? And what about the motivation and attitude among young people to be part of aerospace and pay the price to achieve what our laureates winners have paid many times over? Is there any hope? Well, yes, there is. The proof is in the Aviation Week 2020's winners, an inspiring group of young achievers who are well on their way to filling those big laureate shoes. These students came out on top in a global competition to select the best of the best, destined for an aerospace career. They were nominated by their deans and professors and made it through a rigorous evaluation process focused not only on academic achievement, but also their hands-on projects and impact on their communities. They were honored at an awards luncheon in March, literally Aviation Week's last face-to-face event of the year. I would like to introduce them to you now, the next generation that will lead us in addressing challenges we have not even dreamed of yet. Before I do that, I want to extend a huge thank you to the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. They have been our partner for a number of years to select and support the 2020s. Aviation Week and AIAA share a passion for inspiring and developing our future leaders and workforce. So here we go. The 2020s are Emily Beckman, hailing from Purdue and the University of Tennessee. Valerie Bernstein, University of Colorado Boulder and Villanova. Kate Bird, Harvard University and Clemson University. Catherine Carroll, Massachusetts Institute of Technology and the University of Illinois. Sean Deavy, University of Alabama. Paula Devalle Pereira, Massachusetts Institute of Technology and Brazil's University of Santa Catarina. And Paula will join us in just a minute. Syed Reza Fatah Massoum, Sharif University of Technology. Kanika Gawker, MIT and Texas A&M. Shannon Gatta, University of Washington. Jane Gillette, University of Alabama. Alex Hepburn, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Chloe Johnson, University of Texas and the University of Wisconsin. Michelle Lynn, University of Colorado Boulder. Julia Mikulov, Johns Hopkins University and Embry-Riddle. Victoria Pellerito, Lawrence Technological University. Ethan Plain, Purdue University. Simon Shuham, University of Colorado Boulder and Harvard College. Gautam Viswarupan, University of Colorado Boulder. Laura Yachensky, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And our final 2020 winner is David Zulke from Embry-Riddle and Bob Jones University. What a powerhouse of future promise for our industry. Congratulations to all of you. Now you can read more about each of them in Aviation Week's March 9th issue. Just visit archives.aviationweek.com, where you will easily find that magazine, plus the rest of our 104 years of industry coverage. Now, please welcome Paula Devalle Pereira, who has graduated from MIT with an MS in Aeronautics and Astronautics. She also holds degrees from Brazil's University of Santa Catarina in Thermal Science and Engineering, Business and Management, and Mechanical Engineering. Thank you for joining us, Paula.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
You know, it seems like a generation ago that we first met you in Washington earlier this year, a long time ago. But what have you been doing since?
So mostly since I've been in this room in the Cambridge area, relatively close to MIT, and we were not going to MIT campus for the majority of this time because of this all stay-at-home notes. And one thing that comes to my mind, besides this coronavirus, when you ask a student how things are being, I think there are three things that come to a student mind. The first one is research, the second one is academics, and the third one is professional development. So if I would start backwards, in the professional development side, there is this one thing that MIT started recently, which is the technical certificate. No, I got the word wrong. So there is this one thing that MIT started recently, which is the Graduate Certificate in Technical Leadership. It's a really nice syllabus. And we learned a lot about things that we don't really normally learn in engineering, like leadership and negotiation and how to talk with people better. And it's really nice to have that happening in the middle of the engineering. On the more academic side, a couple of weeks ago, I finally defended my PhD proposal, and I'm really happy because now I passed my thesis proposal, so I'm going to the PhD. And on the research side, I've been working on 3 different projects. I've been working on my PhD project itself, which is called Prometheus, and we are working on the designing and developing and testing of a probe that is going to go to, not exactly going to go to, there is a lot of development in the middle, but we are developing a probe for penetration of cryogenic ice. So something that in the future can be used to penetrate the ice of Europa or Enceladus or other ocean worlds and hopefully find science for life inside that ice or under the ice in the underlying oceans. And I've also been working with BeaverCube, which is a CubeSat project to measure weather conditions on Earth and understanding better how the climate change is happening. And also I've been working with DEMI, which is another CubeSat, and it was deployed from the International Space Station in July. And we are currently going through the craziness of the operations period. And it's really, really nice to talk with DEMI every day and get some information down and be able to tell him what to do and then really understand the new concepts and develop new technologies, being here and talking with something that is there.
Wow. Well, I said it seemed like a long time, but it's only been 6 months, and you're pursuing your PhD. You're working on CubeSats and cryogenics, and a number of other things. That's quite a lot of activity and action since we last met. So it sounds like you're keeping very busy.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
One thing that
So,
I was, oh, sorry, go for it.
I have a question for you about young people coming into the field, and what is it in your mind that makes aerospace and aviation exciting and attracts brilliant and accomplished young people into the field these days?
So I personally believe that most of the young people that are joining the aerospace industry now are moved by the big why behind the aerospace. So aerospace has this exploring nature behind it that instigates our human curiosity, that urges us to do things that nobody has ever done before, and that incites this passion for expanding frontiers, both knowledge frontiers and really physical frontiers, like going to satellites, spaces, and planets that nobody has ever been before. And this big expanding of knowledge, I think, is a really, really big why people are joining. And personally, I believe that besides this big why, there is a lot in the aerospace field on developing the how and building the what. And this tangibility makes the why even more impactful. So, for example, satellites, we built the satellites and they keep constantly teaching us about the mysteries of the universe, or the aircraft that we build that physically get one person from one location and bring them to a different location, or even drones that deliver things to our front door. So this big why connected with this super hands-on tangibility makes things really amazing, at least in my perspective.
Oh, that's great. The industry is really trying hard to increase the diversity of people coming into the field and working and managing and leading in aerospace. And what do you think can be done to get more young people, excited about aerospace as you are?
So I personally think that for most of the people in different positions and in different big spheres in the diverse environment, the topic itself doesn't change much. There is some changes in the topic of doing more social good. That's a big thing that moves a lot of people, being able to do something that is impactful for people that really need it. But besides that, I think that mostly between men and women, the topics that people are motivated about don't significantly change. What is most impactful for women to join the industry is representativity and inclusion. And I know this sounds cliche, but I thought I should mention it. In this male-dominant environment, there is this perspective that goes out there and makes the industry to be a little known by some issues like unequal pay or unequal parental support, or things that make women not feel so connected to the industry. And one thing that at least makes me personally the saddest is the face-to-face combat that I see happening sometimes between women that are fighting for more rights and men that feel attacked by these women. And it makes me really sad to see this conflict at times. And just to put it out there to try to start breaking this conflict, we know it's not on purpose, and we do know you do not want to hurt women. So when a woman points out an issue or something that she doesn't like, she's not at all accusing the man of being a bad human. She just understands that there is a lot of society background, there is a lot of things behind what is being said, and a lot of societal change that needs to happen before anything can effectively become embedded in our minds. But what she really wants is just an opportunity for growth and an opportunity for everyone to open their eyes and see things both ways. So if you want to get more women and more diversity in, I think that the first thing we should do is be open to listen to people's concern. Second thing is be open to understand their perspective, and then be open to act on it and change something. So really, yeah.
Yeah, excellent perspective. Thank you for that. One more question for you. This is the easy one. So, we're all kind of fixated on the current crisis and, hopefully the rebound in the coming year. But what's your perspective on the future, 10 years from now? What do you see out there? What are the breakthroughs in technology or capabilities that you're either seeing or hoping for?
So I think that before understanding where we want to go, we should understand where we are. So I tried to think about the main learnings that we could get from all this crisis, all this coronavirus crisis. And I ended up with 6 main learnings. So the first one is that good and effective communication is really powerful. When we don't run into our colleagues in the corridor and we don't have body language to improve our communication, we really need to be honest and polite and be constant in communicating. 2, there are a lot of things that can be done remotely. We found out that we don't necessarily need to be in the office every day, all day. 3, automation is really important. When we didn't know if supermarkets were going to keep open and if we would still have food, the fact that some industries are highly automated was really helpful. Number 4, on the other hand, we also learned how important it is to simply be human. Humans have 3 characteristics that are amazing. Humans can adapt, humans can learn, and humans do have emotions and feelings. And those 3 things together is what powered us through this crisis. 5, we need to pay attention to stakeholders outside our bubble. So the people that help us cleaning the environments, the people that help producing toilet paper, or the people that distribute hand sanitizer. And the 6th and last learning, it is that it's really, really hard to make decisions when we don't have enough information to fully understand the consequences of our decisions. For example, when sending people home, like in schools or in companies, and not knowing if that was the best thing to do. So how does that affect the aerospace industry? So on the good and effective communication side, satellites. The aerospace industry has the power to significantly increase the quality and speed of our communications from screen to screen, from our emails and our chat messages. And this could be a great opportunity for free space optical communication satellites to be launched into orbit and to thrive. And number 2, there are a lot of things that can be done remotely. And this makes me think about freight. So people now are distributed instead of being concentrated in an office. So what about investing on cargo planes or in drone deliveries or other things that could help connect us, even though we are not physically together? Another thing that comes to my mind is safety. With less people commuting every day, there might be more opportunities to start testing vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, for example, without harming the safety of the community. And it also makes me think about innovation. So when we have this extra time, because we are not running behind of the calendar or trying to meet deadlines because we don't really have the things to deliver now, it's really, really sad because we all think about the remote work and this economic decline being one cause for the industry to get a little bit slower or reduced in size. But on the other hand, it also gives us a big opportunity to stop and think about the theory behind the things and innovate and change and create new things. So I think that that's a great opportunity going forward. And the third learning was that automation is important. So AI, autonomous aircraft, like hybrid aircraft, they might have just received the boost they needed to thrive. A fourth learning was that it's important to be simply human. And two things come to my mind when talking about that, which is love and flexibility. So although we can do business meetings remotely, we cannot really hug our sister or give our mother a kiss through Zoom or through a computer screen. So I really believe that the percentage of people that travel for personal, emotional reasons will significantly increase. And with that increase in emotion from the passenger side, I think it could be really nice if we had the match from the other side. And the industry then should focus on treating their customers and employees nicely and pay. I'm not saying they don't yet do it, just given even more focus on that and paying significant attention to health concerns and working really hard on reestablishing the confidence level of customers and employees towards the industry. And on the flexibility side, we realized how we had to learn a lot every day about coronavirus and the effects and what to do and all those things when coronavirus came. And I believe that the industry should be ready to be just as flexible in the future when other crises possibly happen. And this industry then should have a flexibility to change operations, to change manufacturing, to change procurement, and maybe even to change the main focus of whatever they do so they are able to thrive in uncertain environments. The fifth learning was to pay attention to stakeholders outside our everyday bubble. And that means that the industry should get together and connect with everybody to be stronger as an entire unit. And understanding and developing the supply chain is key in there. So we should keep communicating, persevere, and build good relationships, help suppliers stay alive and diversify the supply list. So even if we cannot help the supplier, if we have a strong network, then they can help us if need be. And then the sixth and last learning is that it's really hard to make decisions when we don't have enough information. And the main lesson that comes to me from that is that we need to be transparent. And it's really key to proactively communicate with employees, suppliers, partners, customers, and let everybody know what the company goals are, what the strategies are, where we want to go. And this will allow people to make better, more empowered and impactful decisions. So in a nutshell, what I think is that the aerospace companies that focus on satellite communications, freight, automation, or non-business travels, and that are open to change, loving, flexible, empathetic, and transparent, are going to thrive at the end of this crisis, and are the ones that are going to shape the aerospace field going forward.
Wow, very good, excellent recap of everything. So, Paula, you covered everything from the excitement of exploring other worlds, all the way to making our own world a much better place in the aerospace industry. And I really think that all of our fellow aerospace leaders out here watching this video will be very proud to hear their industry described that way in the future by you. So that's really great. Thank you, Paula, and congratulations once again to you and your 19 outstanding colleagues who are starting your careers in the aerospace industry. And finally, to complete the triple generation picture of laureates, we have with us the top achievers from the United States military academies who are pursuing careers in aerospace. Back in March, they were studying and or preparing to graduate from the academies. And I think we are all very eager now to learn what they're doing. So let's turn it over to these up and coming defense leaders. Here with me on Zoom are 3 of the 4 cadets, former cadets, who were selected by their academies to be honored. The 4th, Matthew Richard Arnold from the United States Military Academy at West Point, was unable to join due to important classroom requirements. Duty calls, as they say. But the Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard honorees are here, so let's get going. Gentlemen, please introduce yourselves, share some insights with us. Where are you from? What are you doing now? And what are your aerospace aspirations? Let's start with the Air Force, the U.S. Air Force Academy, Albert Thu. Albert.
Hello, thank you. Appreciate the introduction. I am now Second Lieutenant Albert II, so I graduated this year. Right now, I am at MIT getting my master's degree in aerospace engineering, and then hopefully after that, I will be entering pilot training at Shepherd Air Force Base. And right now, I am studying satellite engineering, so just concept work and payload design for satellites, and hopefully I will be able to get my master's degree there.
Great. Let's move on to the Coast Guard now. Jacob, Patrick Cheeseman is joining us by audio. Jacob, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for the time to be here today, at least virtually. But yes, my name is Jacob Cheeseman. I'm from Monument, Colorado. I'm starting my first class year or senior year here at the Coast Guard Academy. And I'm currently in the process of applying to U.S. Naval Flight Training to hopefully be a Coast Guard aviator one day. And I'll find out the status on that in March. Over my first class summer, I had a great exposure to Coast Guard aviation. I served as an intern in the Engineering Services Division at the Coast Guard Aviation Logistics Center, which is where all heavy depot level maintenance is handled for aircraft. Additionally, I had the opportunity to be at Air Station Traverse City, Michigan for another 4 weeks. I'm excited to see what happens with flight school. And starting to learn more about aviation myself with some lessons. And I'm just glad to be here today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jacob. And now the U.S. Navy, Patrick Simmons.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm Ensign Patrick Simons from Westbury, New York, and I graduated from the United States Naval Academy this past May with the class of 2020. In July, I moved down to Naval Air Station Pensacola to begin Naval Introductory Flight Evaluation, after which I will head to Naval Air Station Corpus Christi to continue primary instruction. I hope to fly fighter jets in the future, but I'll be more than happy with anything that the Navy gives me.
Any particular fighter jets in your fantasy list?
I've always just had Hornets in the back of my mind. I know the F-35 is the brand new up and coming jet, but I've always had Hornets in the back of my mind.
Great. Well, thank you, Patrick Simons, for that. Okay, I'm going to turn over to a couple of questions for you. And first one is, so you're all very involved in technology, interested in aeronautics, obviously, and satellite technology as well. So I'd like each of you to name a technology or capability that is not operational today that excites you most about the future and why. And I think we'll go in reverse order this time. We'll let Patrick Simons start off.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, sir. I think it is very easy to feel excited about the future of aerospace engineering, especially when we're involved in this award ceremony with Aviation Week, bringing together the best the industry has to offer. One particular idea and advancement that Simon brought up a few days ago that particularly caught my eye was Airbus's announcement for their concept for their zero-emission hydrogen aircraft. Any improvement that seeks to lower emissions in the industry, I think, is a good improvement, and I'm excited to follow the progress made over the next couple of years with Airbus's target date for 2035 to get the aircraft in the air.
Excellent. So emissions and sustainability, great. Okay, how about you, Jacob? What do you see as exciting technology or capabilities for the future?
Well, the Coast Guard is currently undergoing a major effort to modernize both our aviation fleet and our cutter fleets. And as everyone knows, one of the fundamental missions of Coast Guard aviation is search and rescue. And rotary wing aviation plays a huge role in that mission. And as the DoD and DHS together work on the Future of Vertical Lift program to develop a new service helicopter for the entire military, and the Coast Guard is a part of that, I'm excited to see what that new helicopter will look like. The concept drawings from different companies, they're very unique. They're a lot different than I think we've ever seen before in helicopter aviation. And I think when that new helicopter does get built, it will dramatically change the way we do search and rescue.
Excellent. Advanced rotorcraft. Very exciting. So Albert, pressure's on you. I mean, you're already, looks like you're in low Earth orbit there with your background. Where do we go from there? What excites you about the future technologies and things that are in development?
Thank you, Greg. Well, you guessed it right. I'm going to be taking a little bit different track and talking about the space element. And as you might have heard at the Air Force Academy, it was a pretty big story this year with the first graduating class of the Space Force. And although I'm not Space Force, I've been doing a lot of research collaboration with the Space Force. And one technology that really excites me is laser communications. So the concept has already been proven, but laser communications offers a high data rate, long distance way for us to transmit data. And the Space Force is looking to expand its operations beyond low Earth orbit and geosynchronous orbit into the lunar realm as well. And if we're going to communicate those far distances, we're going to need something that's high data rate and accurate and less jammable, which laser comms offers all three of those. And one interesting technology on the civilian side that I think will go a long way to demonstrating this is the Deep Space Optical Communication mission from NASA. I think it's scheduled to launch in 2022. That's aiming to prove that we can get high data rate, long distance communications with satellites beyond the Earth orbit sphere, so to speak.
Wow, very exciting. So that's great. That's a great wrap up. I've got, we're going to save the planet better. We're going to save people better with advanced rotorcraft, and we're going to communicate better with lasers. So good stuff. We're all looking forward to those developments as well. Okay, next question. And this is a question we're asking all the time in the aerospace industry. It's how can we compete, and how can we get more people like yourselves interested in a career in aerospace? You could also add, what first attracted you to the field. So let's go now. Let's start with the Coast Guard this time, and Jacob.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hamilton. I'd say aviation in many ways, it almost speaks for itself. People see the beauty of aircraft, they see the excitement of flying. But I think sometimes, like you just mentioned with saving people, young people may forget the impact that aviation has on people. And in my time in Air Station Traverse City this summer, I was fortunate to see a lot of lives saved. While I did not fly on the SAR cases, I saw crews coming back from cases. And I think seeing the human element of military aviation and seeing directly how it bailed people out of terrible situations in their lives and really, came through to help them on their worst day of their lives, I think that's something important to remember. So I would encourage any young people interested in aviation to think of how you want to impact people and help others. And there's probably a way that aviation does that for you to get involved.
Great. Albert, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I guess going along with the theme that I've been going with, I'll contribute along the realms of the space film, since that's what my major was and what my research is involved with. I actually had the great experience a few weeks back with helping an Air Force captain who was called on to help some high school students, actually, who were in a robotics team, put their own CUBE satellite into orbit, which is basically a very small kind of mass-produced satellite that is pretty low demand in terms of need. But you can find launch opportunities for it. And I think that's a great way overall in encouraging young people to get into the aerospace industry, is to foster these programs that allow people and kids to put real satellites and or real aircraft in the air, in orbit. And it doesn't have to be high cost options, but the technology has progressed to a point where we can do that fairly cheaply. And so actually getting them to learn and get interested in aerospace by doing aerospace per se, I think is a great option and a great thing that we should be looking at for the future.
Great, that's excellent. And Patrick, how about you?
Yes, thank you. I believe getting more young people involved in the aerospace field is largely contingent on the mentorship that goes on, as Albert said, a little bit in high school, but I think in the early years of the college careers of most students, from their upper class professors and engineers that the students interact with. The more that everyone in the aerospace field shows potential students that we're not gatekeepers to the profession, but we're mentors for the profession, and the more that we show them that we're not the engineers that they want to be, but the kind of people that they want to be, the more young students will start their aerospace journey. Just like I did back in 2017 as a fourth class, following in the steps of the mentors and the people that they and that I still look up to this day.
Okay, thank you for that. So again, a great synopsis from the three of you. I mean, making an impact on people in society, early accomplishments, accomplish something early with maybe a CubeSat or something like that, and then the mentoring and making it more real from a human standpoint. That's all should be very, very inspiring stuff for the next generation coming up. So thank you for that. So thank you for that and the insights into technology and the future workforce in our industry. I'd like to thank you very much for being here and thank you for your passionate commitment to serve and protect the United States. We are proud to welcome you into the aerospace and defense community. So there you have 24 young achievers, our 2020s and the Academy students and grads who will literally help shape our future. I think we are in extremely good hands. Congratulations once again to all of you. Now, back to Joe Anselmo to wrap things up. Thank you.
So there you have it, the young achievers who will lead the way into the future. In these trying times, it is useful to remember that this industry does have a future, and it is a very bright one. Thanks very much, Greg, for those insightful interviews. That wraps up our program. Thanks to our interviews. Thanks to our viewers for your time. Thanks to our interviewers. And congratulations once again to all of this year's outstanding achievers. There's a lot of competition for these awards. We'll see you again in 2021. Have a great day and stay safe.